Was a nation of independents who made the choice to make their lives and their families' lives better. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We carry on that tradition today. Fight on, break through, never quit. This flag isn't backwards, it's assaulting forward. We are grunt style, and this will defend.
You're listening to Veteran Radio Syndicate, brought to you by Alpha Outpost. Want the gift that keeps on giving every month that you actually want? Each month, you'll be receiving a box filled with gear that a true American patriot would want. Your first month, you'll be getting the everyday carry. It comes with a badass bag to hold all your gear. So head over to alphaoutpost.com today and grab America by the box.
Comes a time in a man's life that laughter becomes...
All right, I just had to pause that for a second. I love that commercial. He wants to grab him by the box. Would that be similar to what Trump does? Really? Because, you know, yeah, okay.
It's the best medicine. Visit the5b.com today and embrace the Bravo. Titty sprinkles.
Hey everyone, John Burke here. More and more these days we're seeing social justice warriors demand that we conform to their weak-minded way of thinking. Well, if you're like me, I get sick and tired of it. So at itagear.com, we are now running clothing that is so damn offensive, it'll send little snowflakes running for their safe spaces and into the arms of their professors. So if you like practicing your First Amendment right by wearing offensive clothing, then ITA Gear is just what you're looking for. Let them burn flags, we can wear shirts that trigger them. Once again, that's itagear.com, veteran-owned and operated.
You're listening to Veteran Radio Syndicate on VetRS.com. The best in online radio.
All right. And with that one, the next commercial monkey is a dear friend of mine who... I've got to say that because I don't want anything to befall me. Do you remember when that one guy spoke out against the communists? He defected from Russia. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and all of a sudden he came down with poisoning from some thenonium, some sort of nuclear shit. Remember that? Yeah, you don't want to fuck around with them communists. I mean, that's like I grew up with Rocky and Bullwinkle. You remember Boris and Natasha? Yes. Yeah. She is fucking hot. That is one thing about those hardy communist Russian girls. They could like pull a plow or something, then hose them off. And anyway, I'm going somewhere with this. Yes, I am. I am telling you that Bulldog is a mole. He's infiltrated our community. Yes, you shake your head. Okay, I don't know. See. You should have some faith. I'm telling you, what about his support for Trump? Come on, from the very beginning, that man did. I mean, it was like a bromance, you know, and a Putin, kind of like a three-way bromance. Okay, what about the fact that Chad? Have you ever noticed he never wants to wear a shirt? Aren't you his Facebook friend? He's constantly not wanting to wear a shirt ever since he started the working out thing. Yeah, he's like, look at me, I'm lifting weights, look at me, whoa. You know who else does that shit? Putin. That's right. See, I'm going somewhere with this. And the Putin and the Bulldog got this bromance thing going on with the Trump. And they all go by like you know, one word names. Okay. Trump, his dad, was an immigrant from... Where was he from, Monkey?
Puerto Rico.
No, he was not. He would have a really cool accent and probably poofy hair if he was from there, and a real affinity for that movie, West Side Story. And I don't think he doesn't. No. He was from Russia, I believe. Yep, the communist states of Russia. Well, states. I don't think that's states. What are they?
Mother Russia.
Mother Russia. Wait, what did you say? You're probably fucking in it with Chad.
This is Bulldog, 22-year retired Army combat veteran and proud owner of Recon 5 clothing. Like many of you, I get tired of seeing organizations that claim that collected donations were helping veterans, but truly only using pennies on the dollar. So I wondered, what could I do to make a difference? We started ThreatCon 5 Clothing with a mission of designing clothing that brings awareness to the threats affecting the veteran community. We also provide assistance to vets in need, as well as making donations to organizations that are truly giving back. Join us and many others that wear our logo, knowing the money spent on our items goes to make a real change in a veteran's life. Join in the fight. Wear the grenade.
And we're back. Wear the grenade. Wear the grenade. Okay, let's go on to part 3, or surviving a nuclear disaster. We're dealing with radiation, which is actually something I'm kind of interested in. And see, if this ever happens, you're not going to make fun of me for buying those potassium pills. We'll see who's crazy then. Everybody will be like, oh, Chris, can I have some of your potassium pills? And I'll be like, who's crazy? Who's crazy for having potassium pills? And everybody will be like, I'm sorry, Chris. We shouldn't have called you crazy. Maybe a little eccentric, but not crazy.
Hi, Liberty's Teeth here, and welcome back to the Tin Hat Ranch channel. This is part 3 of the Surviving Nuclear series, Dealing with Radiation. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, I suggest you watch them first, as they are prerequisite to part 3. In part 2, I gave you some general guidelines on whether or not to stay put or bug out in the event of a nuclear bomb. After making your decision, if radiation is still a threat, and it might be if you stayed or you couldn't get far enough away, your next task is to begin minimizing your risk to radiation. The fallout is coming, and you know from the first videos how much to expect and when it might arrive. Since this video is dealing with radiation, let us first talk a little bit about what radiation is and the basic principles behind avoiding it.
Yes, let's.
When talking about radiation, there are 3 types of radiation and 3 ways to lessen your exposure. In a nuclear event, the 3 types of radiation you have to deal with are alpha particles, beta particles, and gamma radiation.
Those are also
Without getting
fraternities.
too scientific, when a bomb explodes, it releases neutrons. These neutrons are absorbed by other atoms and make unstable isotopes of the original atoms. These unstable isotopes must become stable, and in the process emit different forms of radiation. These neutrons are also responsible for much of the initial radiation received by people very close to the nuclear blast. The first type of radiation is alpha particles. This type of radiation is not dangerous unless it is inhaled or ingested. Although an alpha particle can be stopped by a piece of paper or your skin, if fallout that emits alpha particles is...
Monkey, that's me, right? He said alpha. I'm alpha? Can I be alpha? Why are you shaking your head again? I want to be alpha! It's because I get nasally and high-pitched when I use inflection, isn't it? I know. I read that damn book, too. I'm not supposed to do that.
Is inhaled or ingested, it can be very dangerous. The second type is beta radiation. These are high-speed electrons that can penetrate a little more than alpha. The dangers involved with beta are inhalation and ingestion, as well as if you get fallout particles on your skin. They can cause what could be considered a very, very bad nuclear sunburn. For this video, we are not going to worry much about alpha or beta. You will worry about these more after you emerge from your shelter. The third type of radiation...
He said emerge from your shelter. Well, once again, I don't have a shelter. I need a bomb shelter.
...radiation is gamma radiation. This is the type that we will be worried about in the initial hours and days after a nuclear attack. Gamma rays are very high-energy photons and can penetrate much more mass than alpha or beta. The focus of this video is primarily going to be reducing your exposure to gamma radiation. The 3 ways to reduce your exposure to radiation are time, distance, and shielding. Reducing the amount of time you are exposed will affect your overall dose of radiation. For instance, limiting the amount of time you are outdoors in a nuclear event and staying in your shelter. The more time that passes after an event, the lower the radiation. Think of radiation kind of like a battery that is discharging energy. At first, it can discharge quite a bit, but as time passes, the amount lowers until it is barely keeping a charge. Know the 7-10 rule. For every 7 hours that pass, radiation is reduced to 1/10 the initial amount. For example, if you have 1,000 Roentgens an hour at the time of the blast, 7 hours later it will be 100 Roentgens. Another 7 hours later it'll be 10, and so on. Distance. This is an obvious one. The further away you are from a radiation source, the less radiation you will receive. Last is shielding. The more mass you can put between you and the source, the less radiation you will receive. For instance, if you have a source of 100 gamma rays of radiation and you put a sheet of lead...
Wait. Gamma rays? Isn't that what... Which super... Was it gamma rays that made the Hulk the Hulk? Alright, now, for listening honest, gamma rays can be good if you want to be really strong. Chad, I know you've been bulking up. You know, gamma rays, that's how you do it, man. Gamma rays. It will mess up your complexion and make you a little angry, though. A lot like roids.
That is 4/10 of an inch thick between you and the source, you will only receive 50 of those rays. The lead will stop half. This is called a halving thickness. If you put another sheet of lead between you and the source, you will again have the number of rays that reach you to 25. You can keep adding mass until you take a dangerous source and reduce it to something that is survivable. Lead is not the only thing that will absorb gamma radiation. Anything will. 2.4 inches of concrete will have the amount of radiation, as will 3.6 inches of dirt or 7.2 inches of water. The more dense the material, the less it takes. So, time, distance, and shielding are the 3 ways to reduce your exposure to radiation. Assuming we are now in a position where you cannot put further distance between you and the fallout, it is now time to improvise with what you have to reduce as much as possible your risk to radiation. We are shooting to reduce your total exposure in the first week after the bomb to 100 rems or less. This is because 100 rems is about the highest dose of radiation the average human body will tolerate before a...
Wait. Stop that. Did Monkey, you're listening to this, did he really say rems? 100 rems? This is a family show. I can't believe I'm allowing this kind of profanity on here. I'm offended. I'm flippin' outraged.
Percentage of the people start dying. A REM is an absorbed dose of radiation. For instance, if there is 100 Roentgens an hour of radiation present, and you are exposed for 1 hour, you will have received 100 rems. Remember, a nuclear bomb just exploded. You are going to be exposed to radiation. You cannot avoid it. We will just attempt to reduce it as much as possible.
I guess what he's saying is you're gonna end up with your rems.
After you have picked the place where you will hunker down, go to the lowest level of the building. If you have a basement, go to an outside corner. Basement corners are obviously the best, as you have concrete and dirt on 2 sides of you. If you don't have a basement, go to the room that is centermost of the building. Find 2 pieces of sturdy furniture, like 2 desks, or a desk and a serving table, or a really sturdy table, and place them where your shelter will be. Take off a couple of interior doors and place them across the pieces of furniture. If you happen to have a plastic sheet or a tarp, drape it over the door-covered furniture. Put your water and any ready-to-eat food or your bug-out bag inside. Make sure you have a way of accessing the food, such as a can opener. If you have an empty bucket, garbage bags, or anything that can be used to evacuate human waste, bring it inside. Also, bring in something like a cookie sheet or an item you can fan air with. Lastly, bring a weapon. Remember, evil black rifles are the best. Quickly try to find the most dense materials in the building and start piling them around and on top of your shelter. What you are aiming to do is put as much mass between you and the fallout on all exposed sides. You have a decent idea of how much time you have at this point before the fallout arrives, so start working. Phone books, stacks of newspapers, tiles left...
What? Nobody's got phone books anymore. This is 2017, man. Nobody uses a phone book. We Google shit.
Over from a home improvement project, sheets of drywall, anything. Pile it from floor to ceiling if you can. If you have a second floor, you can pile things directly above your shelter as well. If the water still works, it's time to dump the garbage you've been storing for years in those plastic totes and fill them up. and place them around and on top of the shelter. Remember, water is a decent material to block radiation.